So I chose to do my project on the Japanese culture. Japanese immigrants first came to America in the Hawaiian Islands in the 1860s to work in the sugarcane fields. Many moved to the U.S. mainland and settled in California, Oregon, and Washington, where they worked primarily as farmers and fishermen. This picture on the right is some Japanese immigrants working in the sugarcane fields. Currently, Hawaii, California, and New York are the states with the highest populations of Japanese immigrants. Some demographic information. Japan has a total population of 126 million. Largest age group is 25 to 54, which makes up 37% of their total population. The median age is 47.7. The population in Tokyo, which is the capital of Japan, is 37 million. Life expectancy is 82 for men, 89 for women. Ethnic groups, mostly Japanese, 98%, Chinese, 0.5%, Korean, 0.4%, and then everybody else is 1%. The religions in Japan are Shintoism, 70.4%, Buddhism, 69.8%, Christianity, 1.5%, and there's 6.9% of other religions. The total number exceeds 100% because many people practice both Shintoism and Buddhism at the same time. This picture on the right just shows the beliefs of Shintoism. There's no rules for moral living, no concepts of a single ruling God. There's no single text that is followed. It centers on the reverence of the kami, which is divine spirits that live in nature. Many Japanese believe that the mountains and rivers in Japan are home to these kami and are considered very sacred. Japanese is the only official language of Japan. There, making eye contact is considered rude, which leads to uncomfortableness and can be construed as a sign of aggression. When speaking to or approaching a Japanese individual, make very brief eye contact to signal them, but then maintain appropriate eye level such as the individual's neck. Some language that we could use at the clinical site. When you greet the patient, you ask them if they have a photo ID. And I have that queued up here. This is what it'll sound like. Next, you can ask them which side is giving them pain, left or right side. Next, when you're doing chest x-rays, you could have them take a deep breath in and hold it. And if you have to do any extremity work, hands, wrists, fingers, you can have them sit in a chair at the end of the table. Japanese also use a lot of gestures to communicate, and most of them are different from what we would use here in the States. The first, Japanese people count using their fingers opposite of the U.S. Their thumb tucked and remaining fingers up signals 1 in their culture. Thumb and pointer finger tucked is 2, and so on, as seen in the pictures. Next, for them to say, "Excuse me," you raise your hand as if you're extended for praying, but only with one arm. And when they say they're okay, they put their arms above their head, making a big O. So when you greet someone in Japan, they bow instead of waving or shaking hands like we do, which is probably the most important piece of Japanese body language there is. The lower and longer duration of the bow, the higher degree of respect displayed by the bowee. Females maintain both arms to the front, with hands on top of their legs, and males keep their arms to their sides. And another one, when you signal for someone to come towards you, you make a sweeping motion with your palm facing down, where in the US you have your palm facing up. Japanese diet consists of rice, cooked and pickled vegetables, fish and meat, pickled, fermented, smoked foods, soya beans, tofu, edamame, aduki beans, seaweed, Fuji apples, tangerines, persimmons, green tea, and matcha tea. In Okinawa, in the southernmost Japan, has the highest number of centenarians in the world, as well as the lowest risk of age-related diseases, such as diabetes, cancer, arthritis, and Alzheimer's. This has partly been attributed to their traditional Japanese diet, which is low in calories and saturated fat, yet high in nutrients. As their diet is traditionally high in soy and fish, this may also play a significant role in reduced risk of cardiovascular disease. The Japanese also have the lowest rates of obesity amongst men and women, as well as long life expectancy. And a great example of this is the gentleman on the right. At the age of 105, Hidekichi Miyazaki is setting world records for elderly athletes in the shot put in the 100-meter race. Some Japanese traditions that they have: Banenkai parties, which are office parties held in December, which translates to forget the year, and they get ready for the next one. They also have Yamayaki mountain burning, which is a festival that involves burning the vegetation off of the mountain before the spring, which is usually accompanied by fireworks. Some more traditions: they eat KFC on Christmas Eve. Many Japanese apartments are too small for a full-size oven big enough to cook a turkey, so they either roast a chicken or they go to KFC for Christmas dinner. And as you can see, they have Christmas promotions at Japanese KFCs. Something else is the floating lanterns. Toru Nagashi is a ceremony that represents the journey of the souls to the afterlife. It's used to celebrate the Japanese Obon holiday, a time of year when it's believed that the spirits of loved ones return to the world. Japanese family hierarchy. Individuals are expected to serve their family's interest before their own and show preferential treatment to fellow family members. Furthermore, families also have a collective face in Japan. The act of a single individual impacts the perception of one's family name by others. Within the family, the structure is generally patriarchal. The husband or father is expected to be the breadwinner and receive the utmost respect from his family. The wife and children should facilitate his home life needs as much as possible. Most mothers devote their time to domestic duties and raising children. Gender equality is now embraced, with women receiving equal educational and employment opportunities, but men still dominate the workforce. The leading causes of death in Japan are Alzheimer's, systemic heart disease, lung cancer, stroke, lower respiratory infection, stomach cancer, colorectal cancer, chronic kidney disease, COPD, and self-harm. The healthcare system in Japan is different than it is in the US. Benefits include hospital, primary, specialty, and mental health care, as well as prescription drugs. In addition to premiums, citizens pay 30% co-insurance for most services and some co-payments as well. Japan's statutory health insurance system covers 98.3% of the population, while the separate public social assistance program for impoverished people covers the remaining 1.7%. Traditional Japanese medicine is called Kampo. Practices include acupuncture, moxibustion, cupping, herbal medicines, and judo, which is their form of physical therapy. About 60% of allopathic doctors in Japan prescribe herbal medicines to their patients instead of medications that we would have in the US. There's my Works Cited page, and that's it. Thank you.